Crypto Hotep here with another investing video. We are on week 57 of the family portfolio and dividends tracker. We are back. If you're not familiar, me and the family went out on vacation last week, so that's why there was no 57 last week 57. So that's why we are doing it this week. So everybody's back, we're back in place, and we're rearing and ripping to get going again. With that being said, guys, if this is your first time watching the video, do yourself a favor, go to my channel, go to week number 1, and watch that video. That's where I go through the reason why, my whole methodology, and just the thought process behind it. So real quick, I selected a basket of stocks for my family to choose from individually. They selected the brands and the companies they felt most comfortable with, and then we proceeded to use M1 Finance as our broker of choice. In M1 Finance, you can create a big portfolio and then have sub-portfolios in it called pies. Every one of my family members has his or her own pie of stocks, and then every week we go through these portfolios. We talk about the balances, dividend activity, major news in the market that's making it very volatile, and just how we're feeling. And the goal of these videos is honestly just to track our investment journey. And if you find them helpful, feel free to like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you don't like. But at any rate, we can jump right in. Before we go to week 57, we go back to week 56, which was 2 weeks ago. At week 56, we had a balance of 1938.14. We were facing a lot of volatility in the market with the tariffs. So year-to-date weighted return was a negative 10.88% and a market gain of a negative $213.73 and dividends earned of $6.39. Well, today, or this week I should say, we've ballooned up a little bit here. So we've been able to cut our weighted return in half from negative 10 to negative 5.4%, market gain of a negative $111.10, so still in the negative, dividends earned of $6.59, bringing our balance of the family portfolio to $2157.91. So a little bit better, still in the negative, but at least we're closing in. We can kind of seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, hopefully. So let's check out our activity. So last week was a slow week for us. We did have some dividend activity here though. So we had dividend activity with Federal Realty Investment Trust. We got a dividend payout from Realty Income Corp. We got a payout from DTE Energy Company, and then we got a payout from McCormick and Company here. Now, if you're looking at the dividend payouts and you're maybe scoffing at them like, oh, it's only 4 cents, it's only 8 cents, you're right. When you're dividend investing, primarily the beginning portion of the dividend investment journey is usually the hardest because you're usually dealing with smaller balances for your stocks and you're trying to grow those balances, and that would equate to smaller dividend payouts. As your position or your share sizes increase, your payouts and dividends will more likely increase unless there's a decrease in the dividend payout or a potential cut. But we are building these positions up, and as a reminder, this is week 57. We have been doing this for over a year now, and we started with a little less than $300. And you guys have seen what the balance is now. So I just say, investing is a journey, and you should take it obviously step by step here. So we did have one buy and one sell. We did have a sell here. So what happened? I actually sold my portion off of Clorox, the Clorox company, and I substituted that for Kimberly-Clark. So the Clorox company was in my consumer staples and shopping sector of my portfolio. I looked at the Clorox company because I was particularly down in that stock considerably, and I wanted to look at their financials. I'm getting a little bit better and familiarizing myself with the income statement And there were a couple of things that stood out, and if we have enough time, we'll go through those that I really didn't like with Clorox. That's not to say that Clorox is a bad company. That's not to say I think that they'll shutter their doors in the next year, 2, 5, whatever. It just didn't line up with a couple of my rules that I have for my stocks. Kimberly-Clark actually looked a little bit better on paper for the financials. And then I also used AI to solidify that thought process as well. So this week we have our regular deposit of $15, and with that $15 we did have 7 buys. So we had Pepsi, Starbucks, Apple, Google, Sony, Tesla, and Federal Realty Investment Trust. Okay, now we were also blessed with an additional deposit. Now again, if you're familiar with this channel, you know that more than likely the deposits normally, as in money going into the account, is normally just the $15. We've grown our small account of less than $300 to over $2,100 in a little bit over a year just on this $15 deposit. But there are times where we're blessed with a little bit more money. We'll put a little bit more money in there, such as this week. We had $100 and we proceeded to use the $100 to get 13 buys. So we bought Lowe's, Pepsi, Pfizer, which this was in my portfolio. Costco, Apple, Target, very good buy because Target's at the low now. Tesla, Starbucks, Texas Roadhouse, Sony, that's for the kids again. Google, we doubled up on Google as well. And Google had a great earnings week this week. And then Amazon. So we had 13 buys there. So let's go to the portfolio. As we all know, we go bottom to top. Unfortunately, my wife's at the bottom, but she is the only one in the green year to date here. So year to date, my wife has finally hit the green, 0.19%. I know it's not a huge jump, but right now when we're in this semi-recession, semi-bear type of environment here, seeing a little green is pretty nice. The market gain is still a negative 0.15 because the weighted rate of return is so small. So the dividends earned is 46 cents, bringing my wife's balance finally over $200 at $218.19. My wife's chart looks actually absolutely way better than everybody else's here. Just a steady incline up here. So as we all know, what's been holding up my wife's stocks for a while now is Celsius. She is up 45.04% year to date on Celsius alone. That is very impressive. Pepsi is down. She's down over 13% in Pepsi. Tesla, as we all know, Tesla is down over 21.8% in Tesla. But again, we're closing that gap. Tesla, we've been down around 34% the past couple weeks. And then Google, actually down on Google, down over 14%, which we are not concerned with Google at all. Let's go to our middle stock. Our middle stock, negative weighted rate of return of negative 10.14, negative 21.07 market gain, dividends earned of $0.60, with a balance of $234.82 here. Costco, Google, and Sony, the big ones in the green here. Now you may have asked yourself, well, how is your middle portion of Google green and the wife's is not? Well, that's because we actually purchased our middle's portion of Google at a different time than the wife's. So that played into the factor. Tesla still down over 25%. Starbucks cheap right now, but we're down over 10% year to date. And then Amazon down over 15% year to date. I think Amazon is a steal, and I still do believe that. And then Target down over 29% currently. Okay, let's go to our youngest. Our youngest, we're closing the gap here. So our youngest down negative 3.35% with a market gain of a negative $8.14. Dividends earned of 0.33 cents, bringing the whole market gain to $279.55. So with Tesla down over 25%, similar to our middle. Apple down over 14% here. Sony, though, making it up tremendously, up over 20% Sony year to date, and we just added Sony. If you follow the channel, we just added Sony, I believe, 2 weeks ago, and that was in lieu of Nintendo for our kids. Starbucks down over 10%, same as the middle, and then Costco holding strong, up over 11% for Costco. Costco just does what it does. It doesn't matter the environment. It's very tremendous. And then my stocks are down as well. Negative 2.73% money weighted rate of return. Market gain of a negative $21.40. Dividends earned of $3.83 to bring that total to $688.36. Out of my sectors here, we have technology obviously being the one in the red, but again, we're closing in. This 2 weeks ago was around 20% in the negative. We were negative over 20% on technology. Our consumers and staples, again, bringing down over negative 3%. Industrials and energy, though, considerably up over 2.95%. And again, as we spoke about earlier in the year, I did mention Duke Energy, Waste Management. I said keep an eye on Exxon here. I did say keep an eye on Chevron as well, but Chevron's down currently. But I did say to keep an eye on those. John Deere and that Deere company up over 8.79% here. And then Cintas is another sleeper that a lot of people forget on, but is a very, very, very good company. Stable, dividend payer, and it has a tremendous business model. If you know about Cintas, they typically do business-related processes in terms of like uniforms. If a business like a restaurant needs a uniform, they can rent those uniforms from Cintas. Cintas can change those uniforms, clean them and such. They can also change the utilities in the bathroom, such as the towel holders or the hand dryers, soap dispensers, those type of things. And no matter if it's a recession or not, those things still need to get done. And Cintas is right there, rain, sleet, or shine. So very good defensive stock, I will say that. Also, restaurants and food, surprisingly, I was very surprised by restaurants and food. Not surprised by McDonald's, though. Again, McDonald's up over 10%. Why? We have a lot of recession talk going on right now, and people are looking to cut costs. Where do they cut costs at? Food. Food is a big ticket item in everybody's budget, typically. McDonald's offers a value meal, value menu selection here that a lot of people with low money will take advantage of. McDonald's thrives in these type of markets. You wouldn't think so, because you would think that people want to save money, but essentially that's what people think that they're doing when they're going to McDonald's, maybe getting things off the value menu and such. Texas Roadhouse down over 10%. Again, recession, sit-down restaurant. You can see people pulling back. I still have faith in Texas Roadhouse. Their fundamentals are great. Domino's Pizza, again, value menu type of situation here with Domino's, and that play is still here. Smucker's Company over 6%, and then again down with Starbucks. Growth stocks up over 12% with those, and then pharmaceuticals and real estate down a little bit over 2%. All in all, I am not worried about my portfolio as well, or my portfolio stocks, I should say. And again, we're closing the gap on our negative returns here. So if we go to our oldest year-to-date negative return of 8.47%, with a market gain of a negative $60.35 and dividends earned of $1.37. Again, Apple down over 16% here. McDonald's, we just talked about that, up almost at 10% here. Costco, we talked about Costco, and then Tesla here. Just a very good portfolio here. Tesla did have lackluster earnings, but they were up over, I believe, 10% on Friday at close. So with that being said, guys, we will end the video here. Money weighted rate of return of a negative 5.4%. Dividends earned of $6.59. Market gain of negative $111.10. Bringing the balance of $21.57.91. If you find these videos helpful, feel free to like, subscribe, comment, guys, and let me know what you think. Thank you.